Some people inherit empires. Others build them. And a rare few. They watch someone else take what they built, only to buy it back when the thieves run it into the ground. Today's case file sat on my desk for weeks. I kept coming back to it, because this isn't just about family drama or workplace betrayal. This is about a man who gave 10 years of his life to a business, who learned every role, who earned every client, who did everything right. And when the time came to hand over the keys, his father gave them to someone else. But here's where it gets interesting. That someone else, the golden child, the favorite, he drove the whole thing off a cliff. Bankruptcy, liquidation, fire sale. And guess who showed up with a checkbook? The son they forgot. This is the story of a hostile takeover. Not by a corporation, by a family member. Let's open the file.
I was 22 when I started at my dad's company. And look, I'm not going to pretend I got the job on merit. I didn't. I was the owner's kid. I knew that. Everyone knew that. But here's the thing, I also knew that if I was going to work there, I wasn't going to be the boss's failson who shows up late and leaves early. I'd seen those guys at other companies. Everyone hates them. They're dead weight and everybody knows it. So I told my dad, straight up, put me at the bottom. Let me learn. He seemed surprised. Maybe even proud? At the time, I thought that meant something. The company was a mid-sized industrial supply distributor. Nothing glamorous. We sold equipment, parts, machinery. Basically, if a factory needed it, we could source it. Dad had started it in the late 80s with a small loan and a lot of hustle. By the time I came on, we had about 60 employees and were pulling in around $8 million a year in revenue. Not a Fortune 500 company. But for our area? For our family? It was everything. I spent my first 2 years in the warehouse. Inventory. Shipping. Receiving. Forklift certified. I knew where every SKU was located. I knew which vendors were reliable and which ones would short you if you didn't double-check the count. Then I moved to sales. 3 years there. Started with the small accounts nobody wanted, the ones that ordered maybe $500 worth of stuff a month. By year 2, I'd grown those accounts. By year 3, I was handling some of our biggest clients. And here's the part that matters later, those clients? They liked me. Not the company. Not my dad. Me. I was the one who showed up when they had problems. I was the one who answered the phone at 9 p.m. when their shipment was delayed. I was the one who drove 2 hours on a Saturday to personally deliver parts because their production line was down. I didn't know it at the time, but I was building something. Not just a client list. Relationships. Trust. After sales, I did a year in purchasing. Then operations. Then a year in finance, working directly with our CFO, this old school guy named Jerry who'd been with my dad since the beginning. Jerry used to look at me sometimes with this expression I couldn't quite read. Sad, almost. Like he knew something I didn't. I should have asked him what that was about. By year 8, I was basically running day-to-day operations. Not officially, my title was operations manager, but everyone knew. Dad had stepped back. He was in his early 60s, talking about retirement, golf, maybe buying a boat. And my brother? Tyler? Tyler was 3 years younger than me. And in 10 years, he'd worked at the company for a grand total of 8 months. He'd done a brief stint in sales right after college. And by sales, I mean he showed up late, took 2-hour lunches, closed exactly 0 new accounts, and quit because, and I'm quoting here, the warehouse guys didn't respect him. Yeah. Wonder why. After that, Tyler bounced around. Started a clothing brand that went nowhere. Tried day trading for a while. Got really into crypto in 2017, made some money, lost most of it. Moved to Austin for a girl, then came back when that fell apart. And through all of it? Mom and Dad were right there. Funding him. Supporting him. Making excuses. Tyler's just finding himself. Tyler's an entrepreneur at heart. Tyler's got so much potential, he just needs the right opportunity. I'm not saying I was jealous. Okay, maybe a little. But mostly I just didn't think about him. He was doing his thing, I was doing mine. And my thing was building a company that I genuinely believed would be mine one day. 10 years in. Every department learned. Every client relationship built. Every late night, every problem solved, every fire put out. Dad never said the words, "You'll take over." But he didn't have to. It was obvious. It was understood. Right? Yeah. I was an idiot.
This is where the story pivots, and if you've been paying attention, you saw it coming. The protagonist didn't. That's the tragedy of trust. It makes you blind to the knife until it's already in your back. Let's continue.
It was a Sunday. Mom had made pot roast, Dad's favorite. Tyler was there, which was unusual. He normally skipped family dinners unless he needed money or wanted to borrow a car. But he was there. Dressed nice. Sober. On his best behavior. I remember thinking, that's weird. Halfway through the meal, Dad clinked his fork against his glass. Very formal. Very unlike him. "I've got an announcement," he said. I figured it was about the retirement. Maybe he was finally pulling the trigger. As you all know, I'm not getting any younger. Mom squeezed his hand. Tyler nodded like he was listening, but he had that look like he already knew what was coming. "I've decided to start transitioning out of the company. And I've been thinking long and hard about who should take over." My heart was pounding. This was it. 10 years of work, all leading to this moment. Dad took a breath. Tyler's going to step in as CEO. I didn't say anything. I physically couldn't. It was like someone had sucked all the air out of the room. Tyler smiled. This big, satisfied grin. Mom was beaming. Dad was nodding, like he'd just made the wisest decision of his life. Tyler's been working on himself, Dad continued. He's matured. He's ready. And I think the company needs fresh energy. Fresh ideas. I found my voice. Fresh ideas? Dad looked at me. And I swear, there was something in his eyes. Guilt, maybe. Or maybe I imagined it. You've done great work, son. You really have. And you'll still have a role. You'll help Tyler transition. Show him the ropes. You know the operations better than anyone. Show him the ropes. I'd spent 10 years building the rope. And now I was supposed to use it to pull my brother up to a position he'd never earned. Dad, I said, keeping my voice as steady as I could. Tyler hasn't worked at the company in almost a decade. Which is why he needs you. He doesn't know the clients. He doesn't know the vendors. He doesn't know the staff. He'll learn. I already know. I've been doing this for 10 years. And then my mom, my own mother, said something I'll never forget. Honey, don't be difficult. This is hard enough for your father. Hard for him. Tyler didn't say anything. He just sat there with that smile. That stupid, smug, satisfied smile. I looked around the table. At the family I'd given a decade to. At the father who'd let me believe I was being groomed. At the mother who'd rather keep the peace than admit what was happening. I pushed my chair back. I need some air. I didn't go back inside. I sat in my car for 2 hours. Just thinking. Part of me wanted to go back in. Yell. Scream. Throw the pot roast against the wall. But what was the point? The decision was made. I could see it in Dad's face. Nothing I said was going to change his mind. He'd chosen Tyler. Not because Tyler was qualified. Not because Tyler deserved it. Because Tyler was the baby. The favorite. The one who got second chances and third chances and 10th chances. And me? I was the reliable one. The one who showed up. The one who'd always be there. Until I wasn't.
Here's something I've learned from studying these cases. The moment someone gets underestimated is the moment they become dangerous. Our protagonist was about to become very dangerous.
I went back to work that Monday. I didn't say anything about what had happened. I needed time to think. And I needed to get a few things in order. See, here's what my dad didn't consider when he made his little announcement. I wasn't just some employee. I was the face of the company for half our clients. They had my cell number. They sent me Christmas cards. They asked about my life. And more importantly, this is key, I hadn't signed a non-compete. Dad had trusted me. And I guess, in his mind, family didn't need contracts. That was a mistake. After 2 weeks of quiet preparation, I walked into my dad's office and told him I was leaving. His face went through about 5 different emotions. Surprise. Confusion. Anger. Fear. And then, weirdly, something like pity. "You're making a mistake," he said. "Maybe. You're going to throw away 10 years because you didn't get the title you wanted?" That one hit different. Like I was the problem. Like I was being petty. It's not about the title, Dad. It's about the message. You just told me that 10 years of loyalty means nothing. That Tyler, who's done nothing, deserves what I built. You didn't build this company. I did. And there it was. The truth. In his mind, none of my work mattered. It was always his. And he could give it to whoever he wanted. "You're right," I said. "You did build it. And now I'm going to build something of my own." He didn't try to stop me. Maybe he should have. Starting a company from scratch is brutal. I won't pretend otherwise. I burned through most of my savings in the first 3 months. Office space. Inventory. Insurance. Licensing. A part-time employee because I couldn't do everything alone. But here's the thing, I wasn't starting from zero. I was starting from 10 years of relationships. I didn't have to cold call clients. I called people I knew. People who'd trusted me for years. "Hey, it's Marcus. I'm not with the family company anymore. I've started my own thing. Same service, same reliability, same me. If you want to give me a shot, I'd appreciate it." Some said no. That's fair. They'd been with Dad for years before I came along. But most of them said yes. In my first year, I pulled in $2.3 million in revenue. That's small compared to what Dad's company was doing. But it was mine. Every dollar. Every client. And here's the part that must have hurt, I wasn't just getting new clients. I was getting their clients. Tyler, meanwhile, was doing what Tyler does. I heard things through the grapevine. Former co-workers who'd reach out. Clients who'd vent to me. He'd fired 2 of the best salespeople in the first month because they didn't respect his vision. He'd changed the pricing structure and lost 3 major accounts. He'd hired a buddy from his crypto days as head of strategy, a position that didn't exist and apparently involved a lot of golf. Jerry, the old CFO, the guy who'd looked at me with that sad expression all those years, he called me one night. Drunk. Upset. "I should have told you, kid. I knew this was coming. Your dad had been planning it for years. Tyler was always going to get it. I'm sorry." I asked him why he didn't say anything. Because I needed the paycheck. And because I didn't think you'd believe me. He wasn't wrong. Jerry quit 6 months later. So did half the warehouse staff. Turnover went through the roof. And the clients? They kept calling me.
There's a specific kind of satisfaction that comes from watching someone fail at something you warned them about. It's not pretty. It's not noble. But it's real.
3 years after I left, my dad's company was in free fall. Revenue was down 40%. They'd lost their two biggest contracts, both to me, by the way. The head of strategy had apparently made some very bad purchasing decisions involving overseas suppliers who never delivered. And Tyler? Tyler was in over his head. Way over. My mom started calling. Weekly at first. Then every few days. Your father's struggling. He needs help. Tyler could really use your advice. We're family. Can't you put this behind you? I didn't answer. I know that sounds cold. And yeah, maybe part of it was petty. But here's what people don't understand, these calls weren't apologies. They weren't "we were wrong." They were "come back and fix what you were too proud to accept before." No acknowledgement. No accountability. Just, "We need you now, so act like nothing happened." I wasn't going to do that. By year 4, they were looking for a buyer. Dad was desperate. I knew because people talked. He'd reached out to competitors, investment groups, anyone who might take the company off his hands. But here's the problem, by then, the company wasn't worth much. The client base had eroded. The equipment was dated. The reputation was damaged. Nobody wanted to buy a sinking ship. And then, in March, they filed for bankruptcy. Chapter 7. Full liquidation. The company my father had started 35 years ago. The company I'd given a decade to. Gone. I wish I could tell you I felt nothing. That I'd moved on. That I was the bigger person. But I felt something. A lot of somethings. Sadness, yeah. For the employees who lost their jobs. For the legacy my dad had built before he'd torpedoed it with bad decisions. But also, relief? Vindication? Something dark that I'm not super proud of. Because I'd been right. And they'd been wrong. And sometimes, that matters.
And now we arrive at the final act. The acquisition. The hostile takeover that wasn't hostile at all, because there was nothing left to fight for. Just paperwork. And ghosts.
When a company goes through Chapter 7, the assets get sold off. Equipment. Inventory. Property. Client lists. The whole thing gets picked apart and sold to the highest bidder. I got a call from the bankruptcy trustee. They were organizing the sale. Would I be interested in bidding? I thought about it for exactly 3 days. Then I said yes. Look, from a business standpoint, it made sense. I was already in the same industry. I could absorb their remaining inventory. Some of their old clients might come back if they saw a familiar face at the helm. But let's be real. That's not why I did it. I did it because I could. The bidding was sad. Nobody really wanted the scraps. I put in an offer, $340,000 for the equipment, remaining inventory, and the client list. A company that had once been valued at over $4 million. Gone for less than the price of a house. I won. The closing was held at a law office downtown. Neutral ground. I walked in and sat down across from my father. He looked old. Older than I remembered. Thinner. His suit didn't fit quite right anymore. Tyler wasn't there. Mom wasn't there. Just me, Dad, and a bunch of lawyers. We didn't talk. Not really. He said hello. I said hello. The lawyers went through the paperwork. At one point, he looked up at me. I never thought it would end like this, he said. I didn't respond. What was there to say? He signed. I signed. And just like that, the company he'd started, the company he'd given to Tyler, was mine. Legally. Officially. Completely. People ask me if it felt good. Honestly? Not as good as I thought it would. There was no big confrontation. No, I told you so. Just paperwork and silence and a very tired old man signing over what was left of his life's work. I rehired some of the old employees. The ones Tyler had driven away. They were happy to come back. Some of them had been with my dad for 20 years. They deserved better than what they got. My mom still calls sometimes. She's never apologized. She just asks when I'm coming for dinner. Like nothing happened. I don't go. Tyler moved to Florida. Started another business. I don't ask about it. And Dad? Dad's retired now. He's got his boat. Plays golf. We don't really talk. Not because I hate him. I don't think I do. But some things, once broken, don't get put back together. I built a company. They gave it away. I built another one. And when the first one fell apart, I bought it back. Not for revenge. Foreclosure. And maybe, maybe a little for revenge.
This case taught me something. Legacy isn't about what you're given. It's about what you built. And when the people who were supposed to believe in you don't, you become your own believer. Our protagonist didn't just get his company back. He got something more important. He got the truth that he never needed their approval. He never needed their permission. He never needed their name above the door. He just needed time and patience and the willingness to bet on himself when nobody else would. This file is closed. But if you've got a story of your own about being overlooked, underestimated, or written off, drop it in the comments. Because sometimes, the forgotten ones write the final chapter. I'll see you in the next case.